It's game time.
Alright, it's this thing again. So, today I want to talk about conveyance of mechanics. Now, what does this mean? Well, in the broadest sense of terms, conveyance of mechanics is how a game teaches players its basic core systems and just how to play. This isn't strictly speaking tutorials. Those are a tool used to convey mechanics, but I feel those are some of the more clumsy ways to do it, as they tend to interrupt gameplay. Now, I could be here for hours talking about all the different ways to convey mechanics, but I don't think anyone would care to listen to me talk that long, nor do I think I have the vocal power to do it. So, for the moment, I just want to focus in on one small sliver of conveying mechanics that I feel is one of the most effective. Now, this is conveying mechanics through the gameplay. What this means is allowing players to teach themselves how to play the game just by playing the game. No pop-up menus, no tutorials, nothing. Just sit them down, they learn by doing. And a lot of the best games that taught this were old 2D side-scrollers. So, to help illustrate my point, we're going to use Sonic the Hedgehog. So we're just going to start Sonic, and it's going to be a grand old time. Green Hill Zone Act 1, but whoa. Alright, what's going on here? Well, this guy here, he looks like he's waiting. He's tapping his foot. Something's got to be going on. I guess this means that it's time to go. So if you look down at your Genesis controller, you'll see a directional pad and some buttons. Now the buttons don't really tell you anything, but the directional pad has little arrows to indicate directions. Now, you're already on the left side of the screen, so going left probably wouldn't accomplish anything, but maybe if you try going right... Aw, yeah, we're moving. But, whoa! I want those. What are those? Alright, well, they're above me. Maybe if I press up? Press up, nope. It scrolls the screen, but it doesn't go up. Well, going right won't go up. Going down doesn't make sense to go up, and going left would be the opposite of going right. So, none of the directions will go up. But I have these buttons here. Maybe if I press one of them and see what happens. Oh, I'm jumping. Alright, so right there, you now know how to move, to jump, and collect rings. And what's that over there? It's an item box. It's up on this ledge right here. Touching it won't give me the rings, and clearly there are rings inside. I mean, it's indicated. Maybe if I jump, oh, I got some rings, but what is that down there? This game just taught you item boxes, that they have cool loot, and that they're enemies. All in a non-threatening situation just based on basic player curiosity. And doing so through what you've already taught yourself. But you still don't know what to do about enemies. Well, you're going along, hopping on your merry little way, and then whoa! Alright. I just killed an enemy by jumping on it. Alright. So now you know that, just by teaching yourself through what you already know. And just keep going, but what is that? I think whoa! Alright, so you just ran into this little piranha thing that just flashed off screen and then flashed on screen. Your curiosity got the better of you, and you took a hit of damage. But you know what? You're okay. You're alive. All that happened was that you lost rings. Now you know not to hit enemies, that collecting rings keeps you alive, and that it's okay to make mistakes. And in fact, you can pick up those rings again, so that you can survive another hit. They were very forgiving. Anyway, you kill that guy and you go on your merry little way. Pop. Pop. Ah, not this time, Pop. Jump. Jump. But then you see this. It blocks your path, so you can't run through it, but you can jump over it. And you jump, and you kind of gravitate towards it, and whoa, now you're in the air. And you're flying, because it's a spring. Now you know how they work. And you keep going, and suddenly the ground falls below you, and you just feel even more action. But you're not in any real sense of danger. In fact, below you there's a safe zone, if you fall. Touch the checkpoint, and then suddenly you see these floating platforms. Well, you already know you're a really good jumper, so why don't you jump on them? See where they go. Right here, now you know that there are alternate paths, and they tend to lead to cool loot. So you grab the item, and you start jumping on these platforms. Jump on this guy, and keep going. Then you see something different. It's not a ring in an item box, but it's this little fuzzy thing. Let's see what that does. Oh, now I got a shield. Awesome. See, your natural curiosity and what you've already learned has gotten you a shield. And you try and make the jump, but you can't quite make it. Oh well, you can go back and do it next time. Let's keep going. And whoa! Alright, super speed, yeah! And that's one of the fastest moments in Sonic. The first one wasn't all that fast, but still, cool moment, keeps you amped, keeps you excited. And you keep running, and eventually you make it towards the end, and you find a ring that takes you to a new world. You now functionally know 90% of everything you need to know to complete Sonic the Hedgehog. It wasn't through any of these pop-up tutorials that say, hey, I'm not going to let you continue until you do exactly as I say. No, it doesn't do that. You learned by doing it yourself. Because the level was designed so intelligently that because of your natural curiosity, because of your basic understanding of how buttons work, just because of how you slowly learned everything that was spoon-fed to you through the game design, you now know everything you need to know. Other games that are really good at doing this were Mario and Mega Man, and in fact if you look at the first level of Mega Man X, that is one of the greatest designed levels ever for this sort of thing. And if you're learning game design, it's really useful to analyze that because it's one of the most masterfully crafted levels I've ever seen. But I know what you're thinking now. Those games are all 20 years old, and they all had maybe at most a 4-button control scheme. None of this would be applicable today. And you're kinda right. Those games were very simple 2D platformers. They only had at most 4 buttons to utilize. And even then, most of them typically did stuff other buttons were already capable of. In the example of Sonic, all 3 buttons jumped. And you're right in the sense that by having less you need to teach the player, you have to worry less about your level design. And nowadays, now that we have controllers that have ever so many buttons, it would be a lot harder, but not impossible. And to prove this fact, I have another game I'd like to show you. Portal! Alright. When you wake up in Portal, you're in this glass box, you're completely trapped, you're given a bit of an exposition by GLaDOS, and you're basically just left to sit here in this room. There's this counter counting down, but you're left to figure out all the buttons, because PC gamers typically already know buttons to move and stuff. You're given a little overlay if you need help. You can even pick up stuff and drop it in a toilet if you want. Anyway, you're just sort of hanging out, doing your own thing, trying to figure out what's going on, giving a little bit more of the backstory of the game, when suddenly that happens. A giant spark. Now, this is useful for a few different reasons. First of all, it tells you that the Aperture Labs aren't necessarily the safest place, and that there are still bugs in the system. That's useful for the narrative. But it's also used to get your attention. And because it gets your attention, you're now looking around trying to figure out what's going on. And you're brought back to this timer, which you now realize is counting down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then suddenly, whoa! There's an orange thing and a blue thing. What's going on with this? So you approach the orange thing and the blue thing, and suddenly you see a person on the other side. And you look through the other one and you can clearly see they're connected. So that's you. So you walk through and hey, you can walk through. And in fact, if you look around, you get a better sense that they're connected just by seeing the level. Anyway, we'll move on to the next room. And you see a button and a door. Well, you want to go in the door, but it's closed. See a big blue X next to the door, and you can see that it's connected to the button. So, naturally you want to step on the button. You get a check mark, the door opens, hooray! You try and go through the door, but it closes. You now know that buttons are used to trigger things, and that your weight can trigger the buttons. But you're still trapped in this room. But you see this box that just fell. So you go and approach it, and you can pick it up. Alright, you can pick up objects, and there's a button in the room. How do you use them in conjunction? Well, you pick up the box, you put it on the button, and then suddenly you realize boxes can be used to hold down buttons instead of just your weight. Useful. Anyway, you escape the room and you go on your merry little way. Alright, new room. What's going on here? A bunch of partitioned glass. What's going on with this? Anyway, you hop in and you see a portal open up. You look behind you and there's another one. And you hop through, and you go through again. But you realize that they're slowly changing, and if you get a greater view of the room, you can kind of tell that there can only be one of each portal color at any one time. Useful information. You also see a button and a box in the different partitioned areas. So, you wait until the portal opens to the box to grab it, and it's here you finally realize boxes can move through portals just like you can. Useful information. So, you put 2 and 2 together, you take the box, you put it on the button as you've already learned, and now the door's open, and now you can leave. Alright, new level. Bring it on. Now, the door's already locked, so you can't go through that. So you just kind of have to wait. But there's a glass pane on your left, and you can look in it, and you can see portals being formed, and in fact a blue portal being shot out by this thing in the center room. This is useful because it teaches you what's going on. You learn that this thing can create blue portals, and you walk into the next room and you can see, whoa, it just shot a portal through. And there it is, down below you. You can even watch it make a few more portals if you like. And then you pick it up, and suddenly you've got control of portals. Well, the blue one anyway. So you shoot the blue one like the little contextual thing says, and you realize you are now really in control. Go through the door and you make it on your way. Now, at this point you've functionally learned 80% of everything you need to know in this game. But there's one thing that, while you may have experienced it once or twice, it's not something you may have actively realized. So they make sure to teach it to you in the next level, as well as just teaching you how to solve problems with your portal gun. Alright, we're in this room and, well, there's a portal over there. I'll just pop one over here and, yay! I cleared the gap. There's just no way over there. Oh, there's one over there, but wait. There's a blue portal over there, but I can't walk through it because it's over there, but maybe I can walk through this orange one. Maybe orange can be an entrance as well as an exit. See, there you go. You've now learned that oranges can be exits as well as entrances. They forcibly make you consciously go through one to realize that while you still have control of blue portals, orange ones can still be used as an entrance as well as an exit. And while you did have to use them in areas prior, you did not have control of the portal gun. So it just sort of shows you that while you might only have control of one, you're still not stranded by any means. And you've now learned 90% of what you need to know. You haven't learned about stuff like the toxic water or the energy palettes, but that's pretty much it. In 5 minutes, Valve has effectively taught you everything you need to know about their first-person puzzle game. A game that is based very heavily on physics, which is a very complex science. But because of the way they spoon-fed you little bits and pieces of the mechanics as you went, you slowly learned. Man, these guys are good. Now, I think we'll leave it up here, but as I said, there are as many different ways to convey mechanics to your player as there are different games out there. And I would like to cover them all eventually, and maybe I will once I find some better examples. But being able to convey mechanics to a player simply by having them run through it naturally without even realizing they're learning is a mark of masterful level design. That said, it's not possible for every game. It would be a serious challenge for something like a turn-based RPG, but the importance is that you find an appropriate way to convey your mechanics to your player without confusing them and without leaving them stranded. Maybe most importantly of all, it has to be appropriate for your game type. All while not breaking immersion. As I think I've said a few times here, immersion is one of the most important things about masterful game design. Anyway, that's just a brief look at conveying mechanics through level design and through gameplay. And I hope you enjoyed it.